So, domestic flight services are going to take off this 25th May. The Union Minister for Civil Aviation, Hardeep Singh Puri, said that the recommencement will happen in a calibrated manner. Now, viewers would know that it's been about 2 months since flights have been grounded to try and control the spread of coronavirus. But it's a bit of a cliche to say that the virus has changed our world significantly. We can see that especially in the civil aviation sector. I mean, it's not going to be as easy as just returning back to flying just as things used to be back in the day. So, what's going to be different? How are things going to be changing in the civil aviation sector? I'm going to ask Tushar Gupta to give his perspective on that.
Hey Karan. Karan, it's going to be a brave new radical world for aviation around the globe. I was just going through the standing operating procedures which have been issued by the Ministry of Civil Aviation for domestic airlines and airport operators, and things are going to change a lot. For instance, the use of Arogya Setu app has been made mandatory for people moving on to the airlines. Social distancing norms are being made mandatory for airports. There will be greater focus on the sanitization and cleanliness of the airports. Not that they were not clean before. I mean, they have been spectacularly clean always, but now there'll be greater focus on the sanitization, on the health of the staff, of the people working there, and even the social distancing across the airports. So you will see a lot of changes. The next time anyone visits the airport, it will be a very different airport, even in the same infrastructure, from the ones they may have visited before 24th March.
Right. Tushar, there have been plenty of suggestions floating around on how it should happen. Now, let's get into the specifics, touching upon the first aspect, which is that there's this suggestion that the middle seat on a plane should be left empty. How do you think is that an effective way, and how do you think countries would play that out?
See, I'll answer that in two parts, one in theory and another in numbers. Firstly, let's go by the theory. Anyone who's ever been to the Bangalore airport or Delhi airport or even Mumbai airport, social distancing is not that simple as they make it out to be. A airport running on a full capacity on a Thursday evening, a Friday morning, or even a Friday evening just before the weekend, social distancing will be very hard to implement. Now, one of the aspects in the standing operating procedures is like people have to come into the airport 2 hours earlier before their flight against 45 minutes. That was the rule before, and they can only enter the airport if their flight is scheduled in the next 4 hours against usually 10 or 12 hours before. So people used to come to the airport, they used to rest and all that. So now they're going to change all that just to ensure social distancing at the airport. Now that this is the airport part, they can probably scatter the check-in counters, make sure there's thermal screening and all that. So this is for the airport. Now let's come to the airline. Now, airline, it's a small container, pressurized container up in the air. There's only a limit to the kind of social distancing you can have. But even then, airlines are trying to be ambitious, ministries are trying to be ambitious. So, one of the suggestions that came, not just in India, across the globe, was let's keep the middle seat empty. Now, in the last few years, airlines have been reaping profits by cramming up spaces, the leg rooms in the airlines, and having more seats. What has that done? Essentially, it has left very little space for an individual to themselves. Now, this is where the challenge of social distancing comes. Now, some are suggesting let's have the middle row empty in the aircraft. That would take away one third of the capacity current, one third. So we are capping the occupancy rate at somewhere around 60, 65%, 66%. The problem is IITA survey suggests that for an airline to break even, they need to have at least 77% occupancy on an average. So if your occupancy cap is going to be below 77%, your airlines are not going to break even. This is the numbers part. Now, some might suggest let's go have extra, additional fare. Let's hike up the fares. The supply demand comes into play. How much do you hike a fare by? 1.5x, 2x, 2.5x? At some point, the hike in the fare will start hitting your demand. And the coronavirus hasn't done anything great for the demand for the airline industry. So, where do you do all this?
Right. Tushar, you just spoke about hiking the fare as a probable means to resolve the middle seat conundrum. But what's happened in India is that they are going to put a cap on airfares, maximum and minimum cap. Now, of course, it's not gotten great response from some of the experts in the aviation industry because the government is known to go by just demand and supply. But is this exceptional situation valid to say put a cap on the airfare?
Well, Karan, there have been times when there has been some sort of a predatory pricing, some sort of a very high pricing. What happened? I'll just give you an example. Delhi and Chandigarh were 250 kilometers away, but once there were these Jat protests somewhere around 2016-17 that had blocked off the highway between Delhi and Chandigarh. So on a normal day, the flight that cost not more than 5,000 rupees and as low as 1,900 rupees was costing somewhere around 40 to 50,000. So there have been experiences like that, which I think the government is taking into account, not just between Delhi and Chandigarh, across a lot of places. Now, here's the problem. The reforms that were announced by the finance minister did not have anything for the aviation industry. It had some theoretical reforms, but they were already in, consideration even before the coronavirus struck. What the aviation industry really wanted was liquidity. They wanted short term liquidity to address the concerns of unemployment. Pilots are being laid off. Air hostess, cabin crew, all those people are being laid off of their jobs. And the airline industry, we need to understand, even with all its grandeur, it's one industry that thrives only on cash flow. It's not very different from a small, medium enterprise when it comes to cash flow. It needs cash flow, and it has been absent for the last 2 months. In that scenario, to cap the maximum fare, I think it's wrong. Either you inject them with the required liquidity and then come up with things like this, that if you want a certain amount of liquidity, this is the norms you have to go about. But then you're not giving them any tangible solutions, you're not giving them any liquidity. Of course, they're saying it's in the talks for the future, but when? A ventilator is as good when the patient is alive. A ventilator won't do anything if the patient has gone, if he has passed away. So I don't see why there was a need for this rule where you need to cap the fare. The second thing is, it's not like on 25th May or 26th May, you're going to have 100% occupancy in airlines. The short term demand will be hit by the coronavirus. In China, which opened in April, the year on year demand for April's flight was also 66% less. So it's not going to be a very easy taking off for the aviation industry. And in those circumstances, coming up with rules like these, it just further dents the prospects of any revival.
Tushar, also, when say train services began, people had to actually download the Arogya Setu app. Now, we know that there's been a lot of discussion around privacy concerns with the Arogya Setu app. But once the flight services take off, it's most probably going to be in effect even there. So, what's your take on that? I mean, especially with people moving around, their location being tracked, with that perspective.
See, it's been made mandatory under the new standing operating procedures issued earlier today, not for children below age 14, but it's been made mandatory for majority, I think 95% of the travelers. Now, I don't see any problem in that. Of course, it's not ideal to have an app necessary for airline travel, but these are desperate times. Again, I always emphasize on this point. Having Arogya Setu app on your phone doesn't make the government a beneficiary. It makes you, the citizen, a beneficiary because the information is eventually being used for your own goodwill. So people who are not marked green on the Arogya Setu app will not be allowed to travel. Now, some might find this extreme, but then we need to understand the kind of outbreak we've witnessed in the last 2 months. And it's essential that the interests of one when it comes to privacy, because I think people on certain political ideologies, they will go gaga about the privacy issue. We need to understand the interests of one or one group. They do not outweigh the needs of the entire aviation industry right now. The aviation industry needs to be up and running. If no liquidity, opening up is the greatest stimulus they can have. And in that greater debate, arguing about an app like Arogya Setu, I think it's very futile. People need to have that app, and until a certain time, until the virus outbreak isn't curtailed completely or a vaccine comes, of course the rule can go. It's not going. It's not something that will be permanent. It's just a temporary solution.
Right. Finally, Tushar, just one last question. How soon do you think people would start feeling warmed up to the idea of air travel, or at least frequent air travel? What do you know from experience, say, in countries like China and elsewhere?
See, China is seen a low traffic. They opened in April and they did not see a strong resurgence of people coming in. In fact, the year-on-year traffic for April was 60% low. So it's not going. The short-term demand is going to be hit. So we might see airlines coming up with more loyalty programs, more fly for each mile like programs and all that. But in the short term, the demand will be hit. But I think people eventually will get used to the idea. There will be more routes covered. Everything will come, but it will need time. That is why I'm very much against the capping of the maximum fare. Let the airline industry breathe. and then let people make their own choice when and how they want to travel. Of course, the sanitization of the airports, the airline travel, how they go about the occupancy of the middle seat, all those little things will have a greater role to play. But eventually, what will decide the fate of air travel in the next 3 or 4 quarters would be how the virus spread is taken care of. If at some point, let's say in quarter 3, we've reached the peak and we are coming down in terms of the outbreak numbers, people might be more positive about air travel. But in the short term, there will be some pessimism, but then it shouldn't last forever.
Great. Thank you for your insights, Tushar.